Hey, what is up? It's Jim, and I'm back with another Tiller tip. And this week we're talking about worship. You see, earlier this week, someone asked me the question if I had anything written, any Tiller tips, just any content about, worshiping while you're in the thick of suffering. And I was like, yeah, certainly. Come on. Like, of course, that's like right in my lane, right? I am a suffering guy. And I could not think of anything specific. Like I'm certain I've touched the topic, but that one coachable point, I don't know. Maybe I don't have. But then I remembered that in my phone I keep a notes journal of potential future Tiller tips, and there's one about worship, and I think it actually might be the thing that is helpful here. So let me tell a story, because that's what I do. About 8 years ago, I was super depressed. I was depressed out of my mind. Okay, thinking really murky thoughts. It was a dark season. Okay, and I really needed help. In the midst of this season, I remember feeling like such a punk because I knew that God was part of the scenario of helping me through this, but all of my spiritual disciplines, these things that are designed to connect me with the Lord, just none of it seemed to. Like prayer, I just simply didn't have words. I would sit down to pray and it'd be like, I don't know, I got nothing. And thankfully, I know the Holy Spirit was interpreting on my behalf, which gave me some comfort, but that it just didn't feel like it was connecting me with God. And then I'd open up my Bible and I'd try to read, and I'd read 3 verses and be like, I got nothing out of that. I don't even know what we're talking about. Those words were absolutely useless to me. So I'd go back up and I'd read those same 3 verses, and same thing. They were just random words that meant nothing to me. I just could not connect with it. And obviously there's all kinds of spiritual disciplines, all designed to connect us with God. There was only one that I felt like I could be successful at. And maybe it was just easier. Maybe it was just a faster path for me to be connected with him, especially in that dark season. But it was worship. Worship was a place where I could feel the Lord's presence. And I was so grateful for it. It honestly was everything I needed in that time. Eventually I ended up flying down to Florida and checking myself into a 30-day residential treatment center for depression. It was awful. I do not recommend it, but it was probably the best thing I could have done. They did so much to help me. And, as I was preparing, this place is called Honey Lake. As I was preparing to go there, I would apply, and then I'd, have maybe interviews. I don't know. I'm really muddled about that because my brain was muddled back then. And, as things got more and more realistic that this might be a possibility, they would send me more information. And one of those things was the rules of the place. And so, I probably generally read through that, but kind of my last bit of direct interaction before I flew down there, the lady was like, hey, I just want to make sure that you saw the rules of Honey Lake, because there are, specific things like you can't have sugar or caffeine. They're really trying to focus on holistic health. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But she's like, this one feels really important. Most people don't notice this rule in there. And I just want to make sure that you know about it, that your phone is not allowed out on the campus. You can have your phone during certain times in your room, but nowhere else can you have your phone because your phone has a camera on it. In fact, my phone has multiple cameras on it, and that could break HIPAA laws, and we don't want you accidentally taking a picture of someone else who is a patient of ours and then posting that, and then suddenly we're in HIPAA violations. And I'm like, okay, well that makes sense. And then I started to wonder okay, but that's how I listen to worship music. That is a lifeline for me to God. I've got my wired earbuds that I am attached to right now. what am I going to do? I'm like tangibly asking this lady, I need to be able to have worship music. I have to. And for the record, like worship is a corporate discipline, but it can very much be, an inward kind of, experience. It doesn't have to be with the church. It's great when it is, but what I was really needing at that time was that individual worship, just me and God. And I'm like, how do I have that, lady? And she said, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe you could get an old school iPod that doesn't have a camera. Like that would be fine. And I'm like, well, okay. So I looked that up while I was on the phone with her, and it was like, iPods were actually really expensive at that point. And I don't know why they were in high demand, but I was like, man, I don't want to spend that kind of money for that level of technology that I'm probably never going to use again. So I'm like, okay, what? And then suddenly I realized like I wear an Apple Watch. It's really great for recording because I can hit start on here, but I had an Apple Watch and I was like, I wonder. So I quickly Googled, like, can you use your Apple Watch as an iPod? And they're like, yes, of course, but there's no place to plug in. You have to have AirPods. And I was like, okay, well, I guess AirPods would be a thing. And so I bought my first set of AirPods, whatever, no big deal. But those AirPods, I'm telling you, maybe saved my life. I was so grateful for them. Like Honey Lake's a beautiful place. It's an old resort. There's, lakes, there's rolling green hills, yards, there's just trees, there's a garden. I would be out, in between things that I needed to do and just rocking worship on my AirPods through my Apple Watch. And sometimes I'm singing, like, I don't care. I'm already a crazy person. What if the other crazy people think I'm crazy? It doesn't matter. Sometimes I'm sitting and just being very introspective about the worship that I'm taking in. But truly, this was a place that connected me with God. So let me land the plane here. I'm sorry this tip is so long, but I truly think that our goal with spiritual disciplines is connection with the Lord. It is not to be perfect at all the spiritual disciplines. Like that's never the goal. Perfection should never be the goal. The goal should be the connection. And if, 1 or 2 or 8 of the spiritual disciplines, for me, it was like 11 of the spiritual disciplines, none of them were connecting me. Find the thing that connects you. And maybe in times of suffering, in times of grief, in times of depression or anxiety, maybe there's something beautiful about worship that cuts through faster, better than the other ones. I don't know. That was my experience. But I mean, even as I've gotten healthier in depression, I noticed that, I still struggle, right? Like I still have days or weeks that are lower, and those weeks I'm like, suddenly I have this epiphany, like, oh my gosh, I haven't worshiped. Like, I think that there's a regular maintenance of worship, like just putting it on in your car. And I love worshiping in my car. I sing beautifully in my car. Like when I'm doing that with regularity, it connects me with God. It kind of fills this cup, and somehow I'm able to thwart off like more depression, which just kind of does happen in life. Okay. So worship is powerful. It might be the one thing that when you're in the thickest of suffering that cuts through. So I encourage you to do it. Don't sleep on worship. This is so vital. So that's what I have. Thanks for enduring that story. Appreciate you guys checking these out. And as always, I will see you next week. All right. See you then.